I want to speak life into the places you feel least seen, least strong, and least worthy, because sometimes the very cracks in our souls are where God's light pours in. We live in a world that idolizes perfection. It tells us to keep smiling, keep grinding, keep curating the highlight reel. But what do you do when the reel runs out? When you're left with nothing but the weight of your own weakness? When your story is messy, your heart is shattered, and all you have are the broken pieces? That's when the power of 2 Corinthians 12:9 steps in like a whisper from heaven. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Let that sink in. Not my grace is sufficient if you're strong. Not my power works best when you're at your peak. No, it says, my power is made perfect in weakness. You don't have to have it all together to be used by God. In fact, He's drawn to brokenness, not because He celebrates your pain, but because in the middle of it, His power can be revealed. God doesn't look for flawless vessels. He looks for willing hearts. The broken box of crayons still holds color, and so do you. Think of the lives around you. Think of a friend going through depression, a single parent barely holding on, a young person questioning their worth. What if your story, your broken, real, unfiltered story, was the very thing God wanted to use to bring healing to theirs? What if the crack in your voice, the tear in your eye, the limp in your walk was the loudest sermon someone else would ever hear? Too often we hide the parts of us that hurt. We bury our shame. We apologize for our pain. But what if the scars you carry were not your disqualification, but your calling card? Because someone out there doesn't need your perfection. They need your authenticity. They need to know God still shows up in broken places. They need to see that grace is not just a concept, as it's a current that flows strongest through the valleys of our lives. This is not just a feel-good message. This is spiritual truth. It's the upside-down power of the kingdom, where weakness becomes a weapon, where surrender is strength, and where broken people become carriers of divine light. Look through Scripture. David was a flawed king. Moses had a speech impediment. Rahab had a past. Peter denied Christ. Paul, the very writer of 2 Corinthians, once persecuted the very church he came to build. Yet God used every single one, not despite their weaknesses, but through them. Why? Because His grace was sufficient. His power was made perfect, and their brokenness made room for His glory. Today's world is exhausted by fake strength. It doesn't need another image of untouchable perfection. What it's crying out for is realness, rawness, redemption. It needs people who are honest about their pain, but even louder about their hope. People who know what it feels like to break, and also know the power of being held together by a God who never lets go. So if you've ever felt like you don't measure up, if you've been told you're too messed up, too scarred, too far gone, hear this clearly. You are not disqualified. You are destined, not because of your strength, but because of His, not because of your perfection, but because His grace knows no limits. You are part of the box of broken crayons. But remember, broken crayons still color. They still make art. They still bring beauty to empty pages. And so do you. Let your life become that artwork. Let your story become the brushstroke that testifies to the artist, who doesn't throw away what's broken. He restores it. He renews it. He resurrects it. And when people look at your life, may they not just see your pain. May they see the power of grace. May they see the fingerprints of a God who never wastes a wound. A God who turns brokenness into brilliance. God who makes His power perfect in you. That's the message the world needs. And that's the message your life can speak, not one day. When you're whole and healed, but right now in the middle of it all, because His grace is sufficient, and you are enough even when you're broken. Let God use your cracks to shine His glory. Let Him use your scars to heal someone else's. Let Him turn your pain into purpose. Because this isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a testimony. And you, my friend, are still coloring the world.